Hi, friends. We're a mother daughter duo who loves sitting down with a cup of coffee to chat about life, home, and creativity.
From creating cozy, beautiful spaces to living with intention and pursuing creative dreams. We share stories, ideas, and a little inspiration along the way. Grab your coffee, pull up a chair, and join the conversation. All right, well, here we are. How have you been, Patty?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm a little bit better now. We've been just so busy for about the past month, to the point of even, I would say, too busy. So this last weekend kind of culminated in the final big bang. We had friends in from out of state, and it was a lot of staying up way too late, playing board games together, and then getting up with the kids in the morning. So I think by Sunday afternoon, I was just fried for being too busy, which I think kind of, we had mentioned this a couple days ago. We had talked about like, well, what should we talk about in this next episode? And so that kind of brought us to talking about being intentional with our calendars and how we kind of direct our lives. Because especially whether you're a single woman and you're just managing you, or you're a married woman, it tends to be the women who are managing the calendars.
That's true.
So I know that for you guys, obviously you're in a little bit of a different season.
I've definitely been in your spot, with that busy life and busy commitments with, multiple kids and husband and church and
all the things. Yeah. What advice would you give to someone maybe in my season, with kids and a little bit of a lot more in their life to kind of manage? What advice looking back would you give to that young mom?
Well, I think the first thing is to make sure you do have a calendar and use it, because I think for women especially, we manage a lot of our life up here in our headspace, and we're always trying to keep track of everything. And, to be fair, we're pretty good at it.
It's true.
But then things do get missed and things get forgotten. And so I think especially with your calendar, and it's easy to overbook when you don't have that big picture laying there or staring at you on the wall or laying on the table in front of you. So make sure you have a calendar. And one thing that I've learned more recently, and I think it definitely translates over, is putting all your big rocks down first, all the important the things that you don't want to miss that matter the most. And that's going to give you a little bit of a picture of how booked your life is already. And, I remember us reading a book years ago that talked about
margin. Was it that one?
No. It talked about when you say
the best yes.
Your best yes. Yeah. Yes. When you say yes, you're automatically saying no to something else. And so, just being aware of that, because we can't, and there's so many good things calling for our attention. They're not bad things, but if they take up too much of our time and overbook us, then they definitely...
Yeah. Well, and I think that comes even with the calendar, because calendar is just a tool. Like you said, you put your big things on it and it kind of tells you where your life's at already with your like non-negotiables. But then even before or next to your calendar or in the margins of your calendar writing, like what are our priorities? Because that's really where it all comes back to with intentional living is, what are my priorities? What are important? And, when you say it's like, when you say it's things like, for me, it'd be like God, my relationship with the Lord, my spouse, my kids, my immediate family. And then after that, we look at community. So whatever that looks like, for us, it tends to adjust, which I think a lot of people would be that way. You guys are visiting. So when you're in town, obviously our community is more focused on soaking up that time with you guys. When you're not here, it might be being intentional with our other family. It might be with church stuff if it's a busier season at church, but community comes below the immediate. And so then I look at, when I'm putting things in the calendar, where does this fit in our priority list? And if my calendar's already looking pretty full, do I really have the space, the capacity?
Right.
Which brings me to that word margin.
Right.
And is there any margin?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was a book that I read, years ago, and I still own it. I've hung on to it just because it impacted me so much. Just that reminder of leaving that dead space in our life for the unexpected, whether it be unexpected bad, unexpected emergency, or unexpected good. You get you have an unexpected opportunity to go to something fun, and if you are so booked, then that just feels like one more stressful thing that you're trying to fit in. I know with us traveling, trying to hold our plans loosely, it's a question that comes up all the time in travel groups is, do you book your stays, or do you just kind of fly by the seat of your pants? And it's like, there's something to be said for both. But if you're all booked up for the year, you can feel secure that I know I'm going to have a place to land every stop I make. But it also, now if you have a breakdown, or there's something you want to stop and see that you didn't realize was on your route.
Now I'm off schedule.
Now you're stressed out. I mean, I think even if you don't travel full time, and we've experienced that in, a short-term travel, a vacation.
Well, and that makes me think too about knowing who you are. Because for some people, just like, I think I'm going to stay here. This is my backup if I can't.
Right.
We're going to head that direction would be so stressful. They would not enjoy it at all. So like for some people, like having it booked out checks like their boxes so that they can relax and enjoy life. And for some people, like I think myself, once I have a schedule, now I want to be on it. I'm focused. And so for me, like the idea of traveling and, now I'm behind schedule, or if I make this pit stop to see the world's biggest ball of yarn, like now I'm going to get late to this thing. Yeah. So for me, I think probably I would thrive more in a more relaxed travel environment because it forces me to. But when you come back to my season of
for sure
living like this, I think it's kind of that same concept of knowing, because we're homebodies. We like doing social things. My husband a lot more than myself. He's way more of an extrovert. I would call myself a high functioning introvert. I can, and I do enjoy it at times, but my cup definitely empties and I have nothing left. And I've noticed in my girls, we've really cultivated a sense of being at home, and so we enjoy being here. And when we're out of the home a lot, I will see their behavior deteriorate. There's a lot more tears. There's a lot more bickering. They just don't function. So in my family, we thrive on having a lot of home time. But I have another friend who their family thrives on going and doing, and they're just constantly like, home is a landing pad and a launching pad. It's just to get home, recharge, and go back out. And if they're home too much, their kids' behavior deteriorates.
Gotcha.
So I think it is definitely also just being aware of who you are and who your family is.
Well, that's what I was
completely change your approach.
Go back to is that point that you had just made, is that right there is a very key factor, is knowing who you are, what your limitations are, what your family's limitations or capacities, I should maybe instead of limitations, capacities. Because like you said, some families, they thrive on that go, 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 having some place to be every night.
Yeah.
But if you know that your family is not that way, if you know that your family is like they break after 4 days straight of stuff, then that's a way to build that intentionality into your calendar. Say, you know what? No, my family is in my list of priorities. And I know that this is going to be too much. This is going to cause undue stress. So yeah, I think that's a very big key to keeping your calendar straight and not, overtaxing yourself. But I think even for families that thrive on that, we all need that downtime.
We still need rest.
I mean, God designed us that way. He
gave us a Sabbath for a reason.
He gave us a Sabbath for a reason. And so
we're terrible at taking it.
So even sometimes that's part of it right there. If you're the keeper of the calendar, is you be the one that says, you know what, we need a day off just to chill. And you might have to be the one that, and sometimes that's what you have to do is put it on your calendar. This is our day of rest.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the key too, is budgeting those things, because everyday living will get let me think of the phrase, the important will always get overtaken by the urgent. And so when you think about how do we want to live our lives, do we want to blink and been like, oh man, the summer's gone, oh man, the whole year's gone, shoot, my kids were 2, now they're 10. You want to live that way where you're surviving each day, or do we want to live where we're thriving and when we're intentional about the days and how we're going to spend that time? Like, I know, okay, I've got, 18 summers with my kids. How do I want to spend those summers? What memories do we want to make? And like, how do we pace that out and being intentional about that? And so I think the same goes with everyday living, having, I like to think of it as framework. We exist within a fairly structured framework of, there's certain things we want to accomplish every day, or, we have our regular to-dos, or the framework of, okay, well, we've got church every Sunday that we always go to. We have our Bible study with our friends this night of the week. And those rhythms are always there, and those frameworks are always there.
Right.
And what days does that leave open? And if I just leave it open, then it's a free-for-all, and I end up with a week where I have like 4 different things. Every evening in the week is booked up with something.
Right.
And by the end of the week, we're fighting, we're cranky, and so it's also budgeting the downtime, because otherwise it doesn't happen. Right. Like, you know what? Right now we have 1 night a week we go to the Y together as a family, and we swim and we work out, and it's on the calendar. It's a blocked off time period, because otherwise things happen, and then now you're not doing it. And I think, one thing we want to get to is we love playing board games as a family, but we get busy and we go through seasons where we don't touch them. Is having 1 night a week that's going to be on the calendar, physically marked off. Yeah, this is family game night. Because if you don't actually block that time off, it's easy to, well, I can't justify saying no. My calendar's open. Right.
Well, and I 100% agree that there's a danger too in just leaving it wide open as well, because we all know, I mean, I don't know that this age is any different than ages past, but there's always the time wasters that eat up our time, that do nothing. They're just time wasters. Now we would say social media and scrolling, all those kinds of things. How quickly 2, 3, 4 hours can pass, and now instead of having done something together as a family, or read a book, or so I think there is that danger of just leaving that time open. I mean, we were just camping off grid, and on the one hand it's kind of a pain because you have no connectivity, and so like you're out there and you like see some plant or some critter and you want to look it up and you can't, and then you go to leave and you don't have your routing, and so there's that. But on the other hand, we spent our time sitting by the river and talking and, doing our own individual thinking, and we read books. And so I think that, in our everyday lives, it's not always, you're not off grid. You have to consciously decide that. So I guess that's my point, is just that don't give yourself so much unscheduled time
without any structure
at all, because
it's easy to waste it.
That can easily,
Yeah. Well, and I think, my friend the other day, and I don't remember how the quote went, so I'm going to kind of make it up, but I could give you the gist. But he said that he got really good advice about downtime and relaxing time and hobbies and things like that, is to ask, and this is a part I don't remember, so I'm going to just pick 2 words that kind of communicate it. Is it productive, or is it like painful, poisonous, And the point was that something that you're doing to just rest should not be productive. It should be something you're doing just to do for the sake of enjoying it. Yeah, I know. We're bad at that. And the other one is it poisonous? Meaning, is it bad? Is it bad for you?
Right.
Is it bad for your health? Is it bad for your soul?
Right.
That might be things of entertainment that have no there's things of no value, right? There's just dumb TV
Junk
shows. And then there's shows that are actually harmful. They're projecting sinful things, or inappropriate or whatever, that create discontent and lack, disharmony. So I was like, that's really good advice, because I'm pretty good about making sure, I'm not going to do the bad things.
Yeah.
But I'm really bad with my downtime being used productively. Always coming up with an excuse for, not an excuse, a reason for doing something. Like, I'm reading this book because it's going to expand my mind on the subject as a parent, or as this, and instead of just reading because it's fun. And that was something about a year ago I started introducing in my rotation of reading, is fiction again. I hadn't read fiction since I was a teen, and the joy of just enjoying and reading. For him, it was playing a video game. It doesn't accomplish anything.
No.
It doesn't add value to the world, but it was enjoyable and it passed the time. And so having those pockets of rest where you're just unplugged, unengaged with productivity.
Right. And that could be, any kind of hobby or anything
any hobby,
you enjoy
exactly
doing,
Yeah. But having those times that you're going to sit down and I'm going to do this and it's going to have no value, but then making sure that it is a time, it is a window. It's not the whole day. It's not the week. It's not even 4 hours. It might be, for 30 minutes, I'm going to go and I'm just going to disconnect and just do my own thing. So it's good to have that, but you kind of have to budget it, those times of rest. As much as you're budgeting the things that you're doing, it's as much also budgeting the things that you're not doing.
For sure. Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I think, time is, as you said, it's one of those things. It's like an ever flowing river, it doesn't stop. It keeps marching on, whether we've got things in check or not. And, all too often, like you said, your kids are grown and gone. Your career is done. And, I think some people, they spend their life very laser focused for retirement, that's when I'll be able to relax. And how many stories do we hear of people, they get to that finish line and then
they die really quickly. Yeah.
And so I think it's definitely, hindsight's always 20, right? I look back and I think, gosh, I wished I would have built more time. Wished I would have had more wisdom. We don't have the wisdom until we get it, right?
Yeah.
But
that's the thing about wisdom.
building that time in for fun. I was always told, I was very busy all the time.
Yeah.
I just was of that mindset of, I wanted to
You need to
tidy
make the
home.
most.
I wanted organization. I wanted all those things. And you read all the quotes, you have people tell you, babies don't keep, dishes and laundry, that's always going to be there waiting for you.
Yeah.
And there's a balance. Like you said, you can't
ignore it.
I'm just going to play with my babies all day, every day and not do anything.
Yeah.
But, I wish I would have taken more time for play.
Yeah.
But, what are you going to do?
Exactly, right? Hindsight.
You can't go back, but
yeah, no, I think it is about the balance and that knowing your priorities and being intentional. I think some practical ways, I implement it really well for a while and then I stop. Then, I go, wow, I'm way overbooked. This is terrible. I need to adjust. And I go back to implementing those things and they work really good. And, it's this vicious cycle of life. But one of the things is I like to say, that sounds like fun, or that I might be able to do that. Let me check my calendar and talk to my husband, because those two things push it off. Just for me to pause, even if my answer is the same, whether it was I was going to say yes and I still say yes, or I was going to say no and I still say no, it gives me time to fully think it through. I bought myself a moment to be able to think through and go, does this fit with my life this week? Does this fit with my family? Does this fit with where we're at? Do I have the capacity to say yes to this, or should I say no? So I think that in the moment, doing things like that is really smart. Managing that calendar, regularly. I liked having a physical. I still get it sometimes when I feel like I need that paper. But I did find between me and my husband, as our kids are getting older and they're having more commitments, having that digital calendar that syncs so that we can both see
and wherever
get the reminders,
you have it.
Wherever we're at, we have it. So we use a digital, but I think whatever works for you.
Oh, for sure.
But having a physical calendar is a really good way to kind of make sure. And then just take a few moments, I think, to prioritize. Like, think about your life and think about, like, what are my priorities in my life and how much time am I giving them? Like things like saying, oh, my husband's first, but am I giving him any time on the calendar? When I say my relationship with the Lord is, well, first, it's my top tier, but I'm staying up late at night and then I'm getting up at the last minute in the morning and my day's got to start. And so, well, there goes Bible time. I'm just diving into my day because I got my to-do list. And I think you look at your priorities and you build that framework of, okay, well, I need to go to bed by this time because, especially when you don't have a job, especially when your job is being a stay-at-home mom, because you dictate all of your hours.
Yes.
And it can be really easy to
overbook your day
with too long of a to-do list or too many things. And so I'm like, I go to bed at this time because I'm going to get myself up at this time so that I have this window that I can give the first priority to my time with the Lord. And then when it comes to time with my husband, it's like, are we doing date nights, or are we at least taking moments? I try to, when he gets home from work, I try to give him about 30 minutes of fairly undivided attention to let's just talk. About our day or whatever, to create room for conversation to happen. And so I think have the priority list figured out, with your kids, thinking about, what are their commitments. And it's easy to overbook our kids with all the sports and all the, instruments and all the things. And what are the highest priorities like coming out of their childhood? What are the things we want to give to them? And making sure that even in their commitments that we're not putting too much on them. And so I think just having that priority list and having it with your calendar and kind of figuring out what's my general schedule, what days do I usually have capacity to tuck something else in, combined with the putting the pause on the yes,
I think
really kind of helps keep you from getting to that place of being too busy.
What you just said too about your kids and not overbooking them. It's more than just that. I think is what kind of adults are you teaching them to become? Are you have an opportunity to help them to learn about managing because let's be honest, kids will go. I mean, how many times do kids just run themselves into the ground till they're either, having a meltdown of one sort or another because they're just emotionally wrung out and tired, because they don't have those internal markers yet to know when, I need to say stop. So I think teaching those skills, and as you go, we're gonna say no to this activity because
these other things,
and as they grow, helping them to set those priorities. Like, you can't, we had a limit of, you could be involved in 2 activities,
like 2 extracurriculars.
Yeah. 2 extra things. And that kind of just faded off on its own. But I think you're helping them to start learn those skills of, I can't do everything, not at the same time.
Not at the same time. I can do that for this
season, and then another season I can do that.
Yeah.
Or I can continue on with this.
Because we're all given the same 24 hours in a day.
Exactly.
And no matter what you're doing, there's things that you're not doing. And no matter, no matter what things you're not doing, there's things that you're doing.
Yes.
And so it's all really just about choice. The time is being spent, and you're deciding, how do I want to spend it? Because I cannot do everything. I cannot be everywhere. My kids can't be everywhere. And I can't, I think it will come up in other aspects too. When you talk about wanting to change the world, is I can't solve the big world problems. It's like, I can only control what's right here, and how does it impact, like, the relationships. I can't have all the friends. I can't volunteer at all the organizations. I can't. And so even at church, I can't volunteer in every ministry at church. Like, figure out what your priority is, figure out where you're being called to serve, or figure out, those things, and allow those to kind of help guide you in what we're actually saying yes or no to. Because your life goes quick. And so it's like, how do I want to spend it? And I don't want to, I don't want to have my kids look back and be like, their mom, there's times my kids, I will intentionally leave my phone in my bedroom, and they'll, oh, Mom, here's your phone. And they'll bring it to me. And I'm like, I hate that, because they've learned that Mom always has to have her phone.
Yeah.
And I don't want that to be their memory of Mom, is being tied to a device or staring at a screen. So I think it's thinking about, like, what kind of legacy do I want to leave in my life, and how do I shift, and how do I adjust, and make my calendar reflect what I want for my life.
I do think it's a lot more, every generation, I think, has a little bit more to navigate in that area, because there's so many more things available to us at our fingertips. Where, in times past, either they weren't there, or it was a lot more of a challenge to get to those things. It's definitely, I really do. I think whatever works for you, having a calendar and taking that time, whether it be, you find, taking a few minutes before bed the night before to kind of glance at your day, or, that time first thing in the morning. Okay, what is my day going to look like? What is my week going to look like? Because, ultimately the calendar doesn't do us any good if we just plop those big rocks on there and then hardly glance
abandon it. Yeah.
But, keeping it, but then also, like you said, keeping those priorities in mind for filling in those empty spaces, and remembering to leave some empty spaces.
Yeah. Leave space for life to happen.
Yeah.
All the little moments.
That's just it, some of the best things. I mean, I hear this over and over and over in so many different, like, scenarios, but some of the best moments in life were not planned. They were unplanned. Yeah. They just, something you stumbled upon, or an opportunity, or, and so if you don't have the room for that, you're missing out on a lot.
Yeah. Agreed. Well, it was good chatting with you.
Yeah, same.
I look forward to next time. Let us know what you guys thought. Maybe what's your favorite tip for keeping the calendar crazy at bay?
I really liked what your because I think that's where we can get really hung up on when we're out and about and somebody says, oh, hey, could you do this? Or can you come do this?
Yeah.
And those spur of the moment decisions is having that answer ready to say, you know what, let me talk to my husband, let me look at my calendar and I'll get back to you. But I'm curious what other people, you know, because I think that's one that I think trips us all up.
In the moment.
Because you're in the moment and you feel pressured, like I can't say no, or they need me, or they're depending on me, and those emotions can sometimes cause us to overcommit.
Yeah.
So I would love to know what other
tools to put in their belt, right? Yeah, for sure. And we look forward to next time.
All right. Take care, friends.
Bye.